My job dictates that I must have my men enter your home and conduct a thorough search before I can officially cross your family's name off my list. And if there are any irregularities to be found, rest assured there will be. That is unless you have something to tell me that makes the conducting of a search unnecessary. I might add also that any information that makes the performance of my duty easier will not be met with punishment. Actually, quite the contrary. It will be met with reward.
Je vous remercie pour le temps que vous m'avez consacré. Nous ne ruinerons pas votre famille plus longtemps. Donc, monsieur, mesdemoiselles, je prends congé de vous et je vous dis adieu.
Christoph Waltz is a German actor that was struggling for years in his craft, on stage, on television, in his native Germany, and nothing was happening. And what he said on Charlie Rose in an interview after he worked with Quentin Tarantino in Inglourious Bastards, he said he had lost faith. And that statement grabbed me. It made me think about everything that's been going on in Hollywood, my own journey and people I know. And it's really important to zoom in on that. And that's what we're going to do here. Now, Christoph Waltz is a superb actor, right? He comes from the stage. He's done tons of stuff on television in Germany before he got discovered by Quentin Tarantino. This is a man that has craftsmanship. He steals scenes every single time in every single movie. He's an actor's actor. He's an artist. And I respect that. But he didn't get a chance to do his art on a global stage until Quentin Tarantino decided to cast him in his movie. That's obviously on a global stage. Now, you have to think to yourself, Christoph Waltz, going after something he believes, going after something he cherishes, an art form, acting. Now, I understand because I started screenwriting because I wanted to be an actor. I never stopped either of them. But I also realized in the game of Hollywood or film, it is super important to balance it out. Balance out everything you do, from your own humanity to your craftsmanship to your relationships. All of it matters. Now, sometimes you see movies that are, on TV or streaming or even in the movie theater, and you're going, how the hell did this thing get made? Well, it got made because people needed to get paid. That's why it got made. And there's a lot of that out there, right? Even on a studio level. But when you get an actor like Christoph Waltz, who struggles for decades, and then gets his one chance, and he's so fucking prepared that he fucking kills it in Inglourious Bastards as a Nazi officer hunting the Jewish community in Europe. He did a fantastic job. He was impeccable. You couldn't take your eyes off of him. Yet, for decades, he struggled. Now, I remember Dustin Hoffman, and when he won an Oscar back in the 70s, he kind of had a hard time with it. And the hard time he had with it was, what about the taxi drivers? What about the artists? What about the waiters? What about the ones who never get a chance? And that is something that Christoph Waltz also taps into when he says a famous producer, filmmaker came backstage in Germany and told him, "You're a great actor." And I will post a clip of this. You'll see it. "You're a great actor, but it's all about who you know." And Christoph Waltz kind of went, whoa. And that's the truth. Now, there is obviously a lot of relationship building in Hollywood, right? And there was a movement of the independent film that has taken off, and as you know, the pre-sales of the independent films, the movie stars who basically said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make a paycheck on a movie, and do what I need to do, and I don't care what a studio thinks," because the studio thinks about the studio, and that's totally fine. I've had a studio executive, I'm not gonna tell you which studio, tell me on one of my screenplays, he goes, "I love the screenplay, but unless Scorsese directs this, I can't justify taking to my higher ups." So the screenplay was hit home. He related to it, right? Now, if there was a relationship in place with an executive, with a big agency, you see, big agencies, they are in business who nurturing their own clients, which means if they represent a director, they will now bring in the director, the screenwriter, get his script, they have an actor, they start packaging projects, right? And that is what goes on the forefront. I've known several people obviously for the last 20 years I've been in this business as a filmmaker, and I've had a filmmaker tell me, "I really like your project, but I got to do my own project." As direct as that goes, which means there's only a certain funnel that goes into the pipeline of Hollywood, and then we basically diversify into social media, we diversify into different platforms, we diversify into YouTube, and we think to ourselves, well, now we're going to do something like this. The reason I got on YouTube was because of COVID, right? I started thinking, how can I express myself? And also the business started changing with the strikes that were coming on. So going back to Christoph Waltz, he's a fantastic actor, a prime example of someone who just knows his craft inside out, knows how to steal it. And Tarantino saw it. Tarantino saw that in him, and there you are. Now I'll give you an example. Our film Wages of Sin, right? We made this movie for very little money, but it's a great movie and has a great message. It's about fentanyl. And this film has legs. It's an action thriller, crime thriller that has something to say, which is fentanyl. Yet the powers to be in Hollywood, the big studio system, doesn't want to take it on in the sense of, well, we're going to put this in so many theaters because there's no big name in the movie. Which means, you know, there's the Brad Pitt, the Tom Cruise, and you know, you break it down as you go. You know, the biggest name in our movie is Danny Trejo. Did a great job. Danny Trejo won an Icon Award for this film. He got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a festival in Los Angeles. He won Best Supporting Actor for our film. My screenplay won Best Screenplay at the ARPA Film Festival in Los Angeles. So the proof is in the pudding. But now it comes down to who is pushing the projects, right? A lot of filmmakers, they start making movies and they go, well, why isn't my movie in 200 theaters? Well, there's a reason for that. The reason for it is publicity, studio, who's behind it, who are the stars. A good story is great, and you have a lot better chance today than you did 20 years ago to get your movie seen. And the lady who walked into Christoph Waltz's theater stage and backstage and said, "Hey, you're a great actor, but it's all about who you know." Well, that didn't end his journey right there. He still struggled for another 20 years after that until the Tarantino opportunity came up. Now you ask yourself, the Dustin Hoffmans of the world, the Christoph Waltz of the world, the guys who got a chance to actually do something with their careers. And then you have now, which is, social media, you have, the big Mr. Beast and this and that, millions and billions of dollars. They're not actors, they're not artists, but they're showmen. And YouTube has given them the opportunity to do so. So now the streamers and other folks start coming. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you believe in what you're doing, and if you believe in who you are and your craftsmanship, you just got to keep moving forward. And the more you keep moving forward, the more opportunities you will have. So Christoph Waltz is actually an inspiration for anyone out there who's an artist, who sees potential in themselves, but the world doesn't see potential in them yet. Key word is yet. There's a lot of striving artists out there who want to be in the film industry, who want to be on stage, who want to write their screenplay, who want to tell their poetry. All I can tell you is keep going and don't listen to any advice that doesn't sit well in your gut. Go get them. Till next time. Like, subscribe, and share. Talk to you later.